What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it.
Hello. I am so excited, as usual. I am so excited about my guest. Her and I have met through networking, and I have just fallen in love with her spirit. And how are you doing, Elle?
Aloha, my dear. So happy to be sharing this space with you. Thank you.
I am so happy for you to be sharing this space with me. And I am going to take a few minutes and share with our audience a little bit about who Elle is. As soon as now I have pulled this up, and don't you know, it doesn't want to pop up right there. Okay, okay, there we go. Who is Elle? Well, Ell Granier is founder of TrueSpeak.us. Now, let me share about her. Ell Granier brings decades of expertise in the neuroscience behind the brain's synapse, receptor, and reward centers, and is considered a thought leader in the area of intrapersonal communications. She has a degree in communications, certification in neuro-linguistics programming, also called NLP. She is a negotiator, personality type predictor, and authored 3 international best-selling books. Her most recent, The Team Whisperer, successfully lead a cross-generational race and gender team, focuses specifically on employee retention through heightened emotional intelligence. She is, again, the founder of TrueSpeak and certified in the scientific process of transformational meditation. And her motto is, say what you want, the truth is in you. Yes, I love it. Well, you know what? I'm going to give you the floor and allow you to share your journey. And how did you get to this point of this transformational meditation? And so just share your journey with us.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So going back in the timeline, I I was the oldest of three and was born into severe or extreme, I should say, poverty, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sexual abuse. So all of the abuses, right? But the thing that was interesting about that is because everybody in the trailer park was experiencing the same types of things, for many years, I didn't know that there was any other way of living. I didn't know that I just assumed, when we're growing up psychologically, our emotional levels, like our physical levels, develop at certain times. So I just didn't know any differently. And I dove into the world of reading really good fiction books as a way to escape, because when I was reading, I was somewhere else, wasn't in the trailer park. And so being the oldest, I used to be introduced by my father as, this is my number one, should have been a son. And, people would laugh, and all that kind of thing. And then as I started getting older, then my sister was born 2.5 years later. And he just kind of stopped focusing on either of us, and he ebbed and flowed, and he came, he went, there was money, there wasn't money, all those kinds of things. And but what was consistent, Vera, was my mom. My mom was always there with love for us, unconditional love. So I always joke that even today, I'm not really artistic. And, I can write, that's my gift. But creating things like this, is outside of my parameters. And my mom used to wear our ugly macaroni necklaces and put our artwork up on the fridge, and she just bragged about us all the time. So there was that aspect of me that felt very seen, heard, loved, and appreciated. And I honestly believe, and I give her credit all the time, that the reason why I'm not a drug addict or abusive or those types of things is because of that component of unconditional love, right? And
Yes.
the element of faith. And so that's what got me on this journey to figure out and understand how to overcome those obstacles and not let them define you, but actually be stepping stones. Be them not very perfectly created, and you can slip and fall, but they can move you out and up and over from where you are to where you want to be.
That is amazing. There are a couple things that you said. And what happens when we are in environments where we don't know anything else? We don't, that's all we know. And
Mhm.
I grew up in a city where most people are born there, raised there, and they die there. And I left. And when I left, I recognized, oh my God, there's so much more out here. But I could have been one that was born, raised, and died there. And without any points of references, we don't know any better if we don't see any different. And so for you to use reading as an escape, and you begin to see a different world through reading, which is also, that says a lot as well. Your father not being there with you, and see when that father figure. Now, do you have any brothers by any chance?
My brother's 10 years younger than I am.
Did he have a better relationship with his son?
With his son, so he had a better relationship with my dad by a long shot, right? Because then my dad took my brother
That's what I
everywhere.
meant.
Yeah, and I became invisible. So I went from being not good enough to being invisible, right? From the male, father, leader
Right.
role. So yeah, they continued to have more of a solid relationship by a long shot than what my father and I had.
And as a female, not having, because this is such an issue with young women in particular, the impact that it can have on a life, not having that father there
Mhm.
engaged in your life. And just out of curiosity, I know we didn't talk about this, but out of curiosity, because I want people to understand how some women and young girls may feel not having that kind of connection with their father. So if you could just kind of briefly share, what were some of your thoughts? And I know you said your mom was there for you, and I can relate to that and understand, but what was it like filling that void without your dad?
I think the biggest thing that's both my sister and I found to be is that statistically speaking, both she and I should have married older men, right? In the chasing of the father figure thing, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't. My husband was my age, her husband a couple years younger. And again, it goes back to that unconditional love that my mom kept layering on us. And so then the reason why I think I kind of became the father figure in the way that when things got really bad, because my father was very abusive towards my mother, not towards us, right? So it's what I call secondhand domestic violence. And, we were witness to all of it. And so it was my job to protect, my younger brother and sister or whoever. So I kind of became the father role, making sure, how can I help be there? How can I support emotionally, physically, even financially, that type of stuff at a very young age. So I feel like I got to experience being the fatherly role without knowing that that's what was happening, right? And luckily, I didn't lose my femininity in the process, which I think is very valuable.
And very important.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about this, your transformational meditation process, and how you have seen it impact your life and also the lives of others. Because
I
we're
think,
talking about,
yes.
our theme is when affirmations fail
Mhm.
you, when your goals and affirmations fail you. So let's kind of talk about that.
Okay, so it starts with, I feel like I want to go back in the timeline just a little bit so I got out of the trailer park. I was the first one to go to college. There was something about being, around other people. I was kind of able to reinvent myself because nobody had these perceptions of who I was and who I wasn't. These labels didn't follow me. And then back in the 80s, I stumbled onto self-help and, personal growth. And so I'm dating myself, but some people will know what I'm talking about. So there was this thing called Nightingale Conan, and it was a series where you would get
Yes.
these audio cassettes. Okay, we're
Yes.
talking
I
cassettes.
had them.
So it was a little bit past albums, a little bit, but so you get these things monthly, right? And so that stuff just consumed me. And then one day, and I nothing gets the credit for it except for the Nightingale Conan series in general. One day, Vera, the switch, the light came on, and it was really clear to me. So this was the light that I had been covering, is that I'm in charge. So can't blame my dad, can't blame poverty, can't blame the government, because that's not going to get you anywhere. That keeps you tethered to the
Yes.
past and keeps you from being able to be radiant, right? And once that happened, it was mind blowing. I'm like, what? I'm in charge. I make the decisions. It's nobody else's fault. And it's so much easier for people to be in blame because you don't ever take
Yes.
action. You don't, and you
Yes.
have those pity party people, and
Yes.
you can, drink until you pass out or do whatever, drugs or whatever you need to do to help you self-medicate and forget. But every day at some point in time, God willing, you wake back up, and it's your choice, right, to overcome.
Yes.
So that was the
Yes.
beginning, that self-help stuff. And, back in the day, it was very, and I didn't realize this until now, it was very white driven, right? So all of these cassettes were white men, white men, white men, white men.
Yeah,
But
they
it was
were.
such a new concept, right? Because my father's Mexican. And that I just was embracing the information, right? And then I came across Les Brown, and I was like, this is the one. This man has heart. He has passion. I feel like he cares about me. You know what I mean? And so we find these things and these inspirations. And so then from there on out, it was all about, what's my purpose? Why am I here? You know, we all are given, you know, God-given gifts and talents. And when we don't shine them, you know, and share them and embrace them, then we're literally slowly dying, right? So you're either green and growing or you're rotting. And because we all have an expiration date and we don't know where that is, right? I lost my husband 4 years ago from an aneurysm, one day here, next day gone. And so every day is a gift. And I wake up that way, and it's been a long time that I wake up every day saying, thank you for another day to share my gifts and talents with the world. And I don't get out of bed until I feel it and I mean it. And that's when I met Dr. Libby Adams from the International Academy of Self-Knowledge. And that's where I learned transformational meditation. So it's called TFM. I know it's interesting because I have a lot of neuroscience background, is our brain likes to make closure, right? And make sense of everything. So when I say I'm certified in TFM, people go, oh yeah, you know, I did TM. Like, no, I didn't say TM, I said TFM. So it's not transcendental meditation, it's transformational meditation. And it's a cognitive blend. It's a scientifically proven technique that has cognitive thinking as well as the spiritual, I got excited, the spiritual component and the ego, right? Because our ego is with us. Our ego shapes us from day one. It's like, you know, Vera, my glasses are amazing. I've been wearing glasses since I was 16. These things are awesome. But if I handed these to you and asked you to put them on, you'd be like, whoa, your life is crazy, right? And so that's how I see, you know, our perspective is like glasses, you know, it works for us. It works for us. And then sometimes it's time to change them, you know, time to mix them up. So I got involved with that and loved it. Transformational meditation. I got certified over 27 years ago. All these certifications then followed suit. Neurolinguistic programming, all the stuff you mentioned, personality tech predictors, negotiation, all of that, they just started really falling into place. And then I've been studying the reward centers of our brain, the synapses that it's called the habanula. And not to get too nerdy on you right now, but we can train our brains that even things that aren't good for us, we can, our brain gets trained that if we enjoy it, it can be good. Like, so if you go through fast food, you know, drive through, and you know, you're not supposed to be eating that, but you've trained your brain like, but I feel good after I eat it, then you'll continue to think that's a good thing for you. So it's an effort, right? To say, that's not what I want anymore. So transformational meditation helps you, number one, understand the difference between your true voice and your ego. And then it also helps you clear those old ways of thinking that no longer serve you. You know, like for some of us, Vera, when you don't have money, you can't afford to eat anything but off the dollar menu at fast food. So now you're not healthy. Now you're gaining weight. You know, now you're polluting your system with chemicals. And so we're training ourselves like that's what needs to happen. But we go through times where that's just what needs to happen. And then not to have judgment on ourselves around it, right? So that's all the work that transformational meditation does, is it helps us see things kind of from this perspective, you know, instead of this perspective.
Yes. And having experienced one of your sessions, which it was transformational in that it helped me to be more clear, you know, and I hear your story and it's so much like mine. It's like unbelievable, you know, and because I grew up wondering, what is my purpose? Why was I born? I mean, crying, saying that, what is my purpose? Why was I born? And so for us to both have gone through that and understand everything that you've said so far. And you know what? I need to take a break for a second and do a commercial. And then we'll come back and continue this conversation because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
$1 million maker, Miss Mac,
become reality today with Ms. Mac Marketing. 848-236-5026.
Ms. Mac Marketing. If you're interested in uplifting and be having more visibility, being in magazines and doing all kinds of things that's going to make you more publicly seen, then you want to contact Ms. Mac Marketing at 848-236-5026, or you can email msmacmarketing@gmail.com. All
I love
right.
that hook. I'm going to be singing it. Mismatch, $1 million makeup. I'm going to wake up and hear that in my head.
It does kind of stick with you.
It's
It
good.
really does. It does. And I want to say to our audience, if you're listening to this conversation and you have some feedback and some things that you want to share with us, please, by all means, chime in. We want to hear what your thoughts on transformational
Yep, meditation.
meditation. There's a difference. It's not transcendental, it's transformational. All right. So you were talking about how our ego gets in the way. And I'm just going to give you the floor and let you just tell us more about this. And then it would be interesting to kind of get, for our audience to kind of get a feel for how this works.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because it is experiential. It's like, I've explained this this way before. So you can watch videos on how to play the piano. You can read a book on how to play the piano. You can listen to the piano. But if you don't actually have a piano, you know more than the average person, but you still don't know if you can perform, right? So it's very experiential in the way that it helps your performance. And so I like to be at times controversial, because again, my neuroscience training tells us that when we do the same things all the time, we build these ruts in our brain, and then it's harder to make a right out of our driveway because we're always going left to go to work, right? And then on that day we want to we want to go somewhere else. We're like, oh, here I go to work again, So transformational meditation helps to break up those ruts, the ones that are good for us and serve us. Yeah, let those be deep, let them be strong, let them be a river, that continue to lead us to great places and opportunities. But those ones that aren't serving us, and so when we do kind of controversial things, and so there's been a lot of talk about mantras and affirmations, and even goal setting's been around forever. And so what happens is our brain talks to us. For the most of us, we hear minimum one or two voices, right? Minimum one or two voices. And so you can say 100 times a day, I'm a successful coach making over $1,000 a day. And that's your mantra. And you've been told that if you say it enough, your brain will finally start, tuning into that station. However, what happens is when we say, I'm a successful coach making over $1,000 a day, and our ego says, who are you talking about? It gets blocked from going into our neural pathways right there. Mm-hmm. The door gets shut, right? And so that's why affirmations and mantras don't work. I'm more a fan of mantras because they're just kind of fun, whereas affirmations are things that we want to be true. Whereas mantras are just things that we like when you walk and you say, like we talked about, I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise, I'm healthy, wealthy, healed, and whole. It's just, kind of a rote kind of thing. And yes, our ego will still pop in. So that's why affirmations fail us, because people don't dig into the fact that unless you believe it's possible, unless you believe it's true, you can affirm until the cows come home, as the saying goes, and affect little to no change. And so the part that's missing is the belief.
Yes.
So how do you believe that you're a successful coach making over $1,000 a day when your bank account reflects otherwise and your ego's telling you otherwise? And the way to do that is to go into the invisible where miracles happen and imagine it is true, and not just imagine it, but feel it. So what would it look like? You'd have you see your bank account numbers and you connect and you go, that's amazing. I can fly my mom first class anywhere. That's amazing. I can donate more to my favorite charities. I can tithe more at the church, you know. So you feel, because it's not about the numbers, you know, because if people were saying, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, and they're trying to affirm $1 million. And so if it's not about the $1 million, people, it's about the what. You don't want the $1 million, because what if I gave you $1 million, but said, but you can't do anything with it? So it's like, you got your million, now what? You know, can't touch it, but you said you wanted $1 million. So it's really about, what do you want? You know, all those things, like I mentioned, there's hundreds of things we want. With the millions of dollars is what that creates. So when we can learn to think about what we want and why, not the dollars, not the money, what we want and why, how we're changing lives, how we're touching the planet, how we're sharing our gifts and talents with the world, and we begin to just get that heart energy out there, then we get away from, you know, radio station, what's in it for me, you know, WIIFM, and we get more what's in it for the world. And things just get clearer. And so that's what transformational meditation is all about. It helps eliminate those blocks, that limited thinking, those old patterns. Because if you think of it this way, Vera, so as we grow up, we develop physically, right? So if you were 3, I would never throw a 10-pound bag of rice at you and go catch, right? Because people can see where you are physically, right? But emotionally, we can't see those things. And we get 10-pound bags of rice thrown on us often, many of us as children. Things we can't handle, things we don't understand, because we're not emotionally developed. And those scars stay inside, right? Yeah. So I have a scar right here, and people sometimes will go, what happened? And I'll tell the story, but no one can see. So nobody ever says to you, wow, you seem emotionally scarred. You want to talk about it, right? Unless they're a professional paid to do so, because people, I'm getting excited talking about this.
Well, that's good. That's good. That shows your passion.
So people can't see, so they don't know, right? And then we hide it. We keep it in the dark. You know, it never sees the light. So again, transformational meditation brings things to the light. And then my skill in neuro-linguistic programming is to help you be able to learn, is it your true source, your God light, your higher power, or is it your ego pretending to be those things? Yeah. And so our ego is this like bright light, and all bright light casts a shadow. And so when we live in the shadow of our ego, we just don't affect the change that we could, you know, or the lives that we can, and that kind of thing. And so that's why goals and affirmations fail you. Goals fail you for the same reason. You know, you say, I want this, and this is how I'm going to get it. But then your brain says, you can't have that. Are you kidding? You don't deserve that. So then you self-sabotage all the steps to get there. You don't show up. You don't have accountability. You know, you spend money in the wrong areas. You want somebody else to solve your problems. And so that's why goals and affirmations fail you, because in your core, in your heart, well, no, I take that back. Your heart knows what you deserve. In your head, in your ego, it's confused. It's confused. And it needs to be redirected and brought into the light.
So how do you redirect it? How do you do that? When, you know, when all your life you've thought, okay, I can just say I want this. I can write out my goals. I can go through the process of making sure they're measurable, attainable, achievable, realistic, and all those things, and with a time frame, and spoken as if they already exist. Yes. And they don't happen. How do I change that?
So it starts with, goals are good. again, I'm not a fan of affirmations until you 100% be like, this has my name on it. It's just a matter of time, right? So I'm going to keep affirming this, and you feel good when you say it and such. And so there was a movie, I think it was called Hidden Figures, about how these Black women help get
Yeah,
men
I
to the
saw that
moon.
movie. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Yes,
inspirational. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. And so
absolutely.
that's called reverse engineering. Well, number one, it's having faith in your God-given talents. You keep showing up. You don't let the darkness override your, your brilliance. But they reversed engineer, so they did it from, okay, this person's already out there. How do we get them home? And that's the best way to do your goals, is to go into the future and say, okay, I have $1 million or whatever it is. Well, how did I get there? Who did I meet? What workshops did I do? What networking did I do? And you keep backing it up and up until today. And then you have a more, other than just saying, I want to be a millionaire, and then there's no plan, except for that if I have enough faith and pray to God enough that it'll happen, right? So the action. So reverse engineering goals is my number one tip. And then the other one is to be able to, so it's been my experience when I have wealthy people that I work with, millionaires, they're miserable. So they have the money, but they don't have the love, or they don't have the respect, or they don't have the relationships, right? And so it's building those types of things. And so, I'll be honest with you, Vera, I can only work with people that have faith in a true source and a higher power. Because if you think you're just born and you die, I can't help you, because my job is to facilitate the conversation. And there's not a conversation when it's just you, it's a monologue, and it's
Yeah.
not going to go anywhere. Yeah.
Let's talk about that spiritual piece, because just as we are physical, mental, emotional beings, how can we not recognize that spiritual piece? We are, I mean, come on now.
I know. I think, and again, I do my best to be non-judgmental, over and over. And so, I believe people have their reasons why they never knew faith or they lost faith. And there was a time where I used to kind of judge born again people, like, oh gosh, here we go again. And if you don't believe, then you're not good enough for, my dinner table or whatever. And I realized, okay, here I am judging when I say I'm trying to be non-judgmental. And so when people don't have the faith, if they're willing to entertain that perhaps it looks differently
Yes.
than how they were taught it or saw
Yes.
it or experienced it. So if they're
Yes.
willing to do that, so for people who are watching now, if you're not spiritual or you don't have that connection, we can do an exercise right now where you can experience that connection in a way that's different from prayer, or Bible verses or other things that you might feel are like dogma
We can do
around
that right now.
connection. Yeah, let's do that right now. It won't take very long, because it's a little mini version just to help people, because I have had so many people with huge egos. As a matter of fact, the bigger your ego, the more likely, listeners, if you say, I can't meditate, my mind's too busy, what you're really saying is, I don't want to meditate because I want to keep my ego in the front seat.
Right. And but before we start, let me say this. I'm restating, we're not talking about religion.
Correct.
There is a difference between spirituality and religion. Religion is outside of us. That's going to church every Sunday, going to mosque every week, going to whatever, to that organized thing, which
Mhm.
I'm not saying is bad. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that spirituality is inside. It's
Yeah.
inside of
Yeah.
us. It's not
Yes.
outside of us. So what she's getting ready to do is to help us tap into that spirituality that's inside of us. It has nothing to do with religion. hear that clearly? Okay. All right. So go ahead.
Yes.
Walk us through it.
Okay, thank you. And so what's great about transformational meditation is it's a triad, and I love triads because no matter how you flip them, they always work. If you have a triangle and each leg is really strong and does its own thing, if someone flips you, you've still got your triad, because no matter what, it looks like this and it always points up. And so as we do this, and it'll just take a few moments, watch your ego. For those of you that have the ego talks louder than your truth, the ego will say, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And so what you do is, one of my favorite things to tell people is, if you've heard of Caesar the dog whisperer, and
Yes.
in the show he tells the troublemaker dogs, he goes, shh, anytime a dog is acting up, because he's the leader, right? So he says, shh. And you can literally do that to the voice in your head. So when it's like, this isn't working, go, shh. And then, or you can say, cancel, cancel, delete, delete.
Yes.
Or you can say, and I like this one a lot. Thanks for sharing. Please sit in the back seat for a moment because we're doing this thing, right? So you kind of honor it. Like, I understand, you're trying to keep me safe. So you can honor the ego. And so what's good about transformative meditation is the ego does stay present. Just don't let it be in the front seat bossing you around, right? And then some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic. So besides watching for your ego, watch out for the judgment of you don't think it's going the way it should be going, and just be along for the ride. Just be along for the ride, because, I live in Mazatlan, and when I pick people up from the airport and bring them back, they go, oh, I didn't know Mexico was this arid. I guess they feel like it's going to be a lot greener, or I don't know what, but there's certain parts that are dry. And so just be along for the ride and breathe into it and continue to breathe. And it's best if your eyes are closed, but if they open, that's fine. You can leave them open. You can close them again. So the big things are shush your ego to the back seat just for the experience. Suspend all judgment. Just be along for the ride. And then the third thing is to remember to continue to do that really deep breathing. Most of us go through every day with survival breathing. And the way you know if you're just surviving, like just enough to work the brain and the organs and all of that, is if you ask yourself, when's the last time I took a breath? And if you can't remember, you're doing survival breathing. So randomly, it's good to just stop and close your eyes and take a breath for no reason than honoring your temple, that houses your beautiful soul. And so that's what we'll do right now. Okay, so are you ready?
Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready, audience? Please do this with us, okay? Just so that you get a sense of what it is she's talking about. All right. And I am going to close my eyes, so don't think that I'm not here with you, because I am. Okay.
And this is when I always give the disclaimer. Obviously, if you're driving or somewhere where you can't close your eyes, you can also do it with your eyes open. But closing your eyes gives you a little bit more of the experience. So it begins with sitting tall, which is another thing that we get away from, especially because we're on the computers and stuff, and we tend to slouch and lean forward on our phones and such. So sitting tall and then closing your eyes. And sitting tall allows our natural energy, our life force, to flow easier to us and through us, from the top of our head to the tips of our toes and out through our fingers. And then closing our eyes minimizes external distractions, which allows us to focus inside, beginning with the breath. And so just for a moment, let's do the breath of thriving versus surviving, where you are aware right now, breathing in deeper, longer, and slower than you normally would, and then exhaling deeper, longer, and slower than you're normally aware of. So those breaths of expansion Bring in all the love and light that's yours by divine right in abundance. And the exhalation helps bring us to centered, here, and now. And together we'll do 3 rounds of the domino breathing with a countdown. So if you would join me, breathe in big for 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 6, 5, letting go, 2, 1. If you have any air, push it out. And then just relax now and breathe easy, whatever that feels like for you. And we'll do this just 2 more times. In big for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Pushing out anything extra if there may be, and then easy breathing. And allow yourself to begin to feel how having more oxygen in your body brings more oxygen into your brain, which allows you to drift into the alpha level of consciousness, where the ego can be in the back seat. One more time, in very deeply, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then just relax and notice how you're feeling in this moment. Ideally, you're feeling relaxed, much more relaxed than we were just a moment ago. And if not for any reason, take in a bigger breath. Exhale, letting go, become centered here and now in this moment. And then just open your mind, open your heart, open your soul to the message and ask your true source, regardless of if you have a name for it or not. Your higher power, universe, God light, whomever is always with you with every breath. And ask them, what is my message in this moment? I'm listening. And then if that message seemed valuable, thank them for the message in this moment. If it didn't seem valuable, if it seemed maybe like your ego or an old voice from the past, then just kick it to the curb. And then place your hands over your heart and repeat after me, either out loud or in your heads. We're speaking to our beautiful temple and saying, thank you, I love you for everything you do for me every day.
Everything you do for me every day. Thank
Because
you. I
you
love you for everything you do for me every day.
You love me so unconditionally.
You love me so unconditionally.
And I promise to be a better listener and heed your word.
I promise to be a better listener and heed your word.
Because I also love you.
Because I also love you.
And I also promise to remember.
And I also promise to remember.
That I am literally a walking, talking, breathing miracle.
That I am literally a walking, talking, breathing miracle.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And when you're ready for that to be your truth, taking all the time you need, go ahead and open your eyes and come on back.
And I have a message. I have a message. First of all, I want to encourage you to try this on a daily basis, but not only for yourself, do this with your children. Help them to learn to breathe. This breathing can help relieve some stress. It can help relieve worry. It can help them become more calm. And just imagine your house being calm. Just imagine everybody in the house just calm from doing these breathing exercises and the thoughts. And if you need to come back to this show and watch it again,
yeah,
time do so.
to
And
this part.
yes, timestamp this part of it. We got a message here. Let's see. What is the message? Okay.
And you know,
Okay, Peter, he says, ego easing God out. Yes. Ego
yes,
easing. So did you do this with us, Peter? I know that he's into breathing and he does great stuff as well. He's going to be on here on our show next week, actually, next Thursday. But anyway, yes, this was so powerful. Did you feel it, you guys? Those of you that did it, let me hear your feedback. Did you do it? Or did you think, oh, this is stupid? No, it's not. I think the world needs more of this. We need to be doing more of this. We really do. And Peter says, hello, dear, peace, breathe, and calm works. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's
you know those
amazing.
t-shirts that say "Keep calm and carry on." Like that's a real thing, people.
Yes, yes. All right. We got some comments coming in. Sandra Ward, she says, yes, thank you so much. And Deborah Silva, she says, beautiful. I'm telling you, this stuff is powerful. It's powerful. And it can help. Just think, we're so caught up running and doing and rushing throughout our day. Take time to breathe. That's one of the things, even with my show. That's one of the exercises that we do even before we start my show. Breathe. I'm telling you,
Yep, we did
it's,
that.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway,
And you know
go ahead.
what's interesting too is the breath is free. You don't have to pay. We have the control, like what I talked about, at the beginning of the show. We have the power, we have the control to just sit down. When our brain is spinning and life seems overwhelming and there seems no choices and no direction and it seems hopeless, sit down, take the breath, and connect and put your ego in the back seat. And that's why, the work that I do trains for me to know if it's your ego or your true source. And what's really important about that is our ego, like he said, edging God out is so true. And Les Brown says that a lot, is that when we can't decipher those voices, it's hard to move forward with confidence. However, when we sit and breathe and get more oxygen into the brain, we can experience clarity that we didn't know was possible. And I don't want to say it's that simple, but I will say it's a good start.
It is a good start. And I mean, and I know I start my mornings with breathing and meditation, focused on my mind is focused on the 23rd Psalms. And then there's a manifestation prayer that I do as well. And I'm telling you, it can make a difference in how your day goes. I promise
Yes,
you. I've got
absolutely.
another commercial to do. So we'll be right back.
Okay, I'll be here.
Sound money benefits. If you're concerned with what's happening with our banks, what's happening with our dollar, it's only worth 3 cents, and the fact that our government is looking at digitizing our money, what are you going to do to secure and hold on to your money? What are you going to do? Check out www.soundmoneybenefits.com. And there's actually a 30-minute presentation that is tonight. If you go to www soundmoneyzoom.com, you will be able to watch it. It's 30 minutes, and you'll find out some options of things that you can do to hold on to your money, and not only hold on to your money, but generate generational wealth. Soundmoneybenefit.com. Check it out. All right. And we got a message here. Um,
Generational wealth. I love that.
yes, yes, yes. Okay, Peter says, great energy, ladies. Thank you. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here. All right. All right. So, man, that was quite an experience. See, the thing is, we can talk about stuff all day long, but until you actually have an opportunity to experience what's being talked about, this can really make a difference in your home, at on your job. When just think about times when you get all stressed out about what's going on at work. Go into your cubicle and just, or even the bathroom if you don't have a cubicle, and
Get on
just
the
take deep
phone.
breaths. Take deep breaths
Yeah.
and center yourself and calm yourself and begin to focus. Focus.
Yes.
And if someone's, let me ask you, if someone's doing this and not following the guidelines that you just, or not having someone lead them, how can, or what would you encourage the process to be? Because I know we did a guided.
Yes. Yes. So perfect question, because when I speak on, stages and events, and we do this with large groups, I don't know who's connected. I don't know what they're hearing, right? As opposed to one-on-one. And so I really implore people, if you couldn't meditate, if you couldn't slow down, if you didn't get a message, if you didn't like the message that you heard, 110% talk to me, because I can get you that message. And, we need 30 to 45 minutes to do it. I always offer it complimentary, because I'm here to share my gifts and talents with the world. And it's that first step to open the door. And so that, and then the other thing is, like, practice makes perfect. The first time you swung the bat, you didn't hit the ball. So stop having so much judgment. We've got those pillars of supremacy on us that tell us that we have to be perfect all the time. And so just do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and learn each time, like, oh, I understand now. I need to breathe longer. Or, oh, I get it now. It was too noisy. Or, oh, I heard that voice. I can shush it. So just do it more than once, people. People will go, and again, I'm saying, to, like, I won't name a name. So people go to a fast food burger joint over and over and over again, and the food is crap, right? It's not quality. And then this new burger joint will open up, and people will go, well, I don't know, if it's clean, I don't know, and they haven't even tried it. So I'm talking about like a mom and pop kind of opening burger joint, not a chain. And so we get so stuck in our ruts and our routines, even though they're not healthy for us. And we won't try something new, because we're like, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does? What if I don't like it? What if you do? Because it's just, you can't do that, because when people say the grass is always greener on the other side, I say, yeah, because there's probably more manure over there. So as long as you're on this side, you don't know.
Exactly. And let me also say, as it relates to being stuck, change is inevitable. Change is happening whether we want it to or not. The very layers of skin that's on our body is changing every 7 years. The hairs on our heads is changing. So you're either changing by moving forward, or you're changing by moving back. There's no such thing as standing still. So when the opportunity comes to try something new, to experience something you've never experienced about before, do it. Just do it. You never know what the end result is going to be. Just do it. Remember, we change by moving forward, or We change by moving back. There's no such thing as water when it stands still, it stinks. There's no such thing as standing still. Okay. And I got another commercial, and then you're going to
Okay.
come back.
I
You're going to
am.
come back and wrap us up. Well,
Okay.
first, let me see. We got a comment going on here. Okay, Peter says plant new seeds and use manure. The more natural, the better. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Okay, let me go to another commercial, and then you're going to come and wrap us up. Okay.
Podcasting is trending. Celebrities and everyday people every single day are starting podcasts. You may be even thinking about starting a podcast yourself. But the question still remains the same. How can you start, launch, brand, market, and grow your podcast? How can you connect with the right people in the media and the podcasting industry in order to elevate your visibility? And what type of mindset do you really need to have in order to be a successful podcaster? And the big question, how can you monetize your podcast? Well, hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, host of the Tina Ramsey Show, podcast coach and podcast network owner. And the good thing is that I have you covered. You can ask all of these burning questions and so much more to our experienced media and podcasting professionals on our live Q&A at the Power of Podcasting event that I am personally inviting you to on May the 6th from 2 to 7 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia at the Pop-Up and Create. I want you to experience for yourself a live taping of the Tina Ramsey Show, and your ticket, get this, includes our #1 podcast course, an autographed copy of the Power of Podcasting book, a swag bag with exclusive goodies, delicious food, and networking. So whether you're looking to just simply expand your knowledge, connect with like-minded individuals, or simply have a good time, our event has something for everyone. So I don't want you to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I want you to buy your ticket and secure your spot for our event, because it is the event of the year, because these tickets will sell out fast. So go to ctrmedianetwork.com and purchase your ticket today. I can't wait to see you there at the Power of Podcasting. Get your ticket today at ctrmedianetwork.com.
CTRmedianetwork.com. Get your tickets today for the event that's happening on May 6th. And I think it's a hybrid if you are not able to come in person. CTRmedianetwork.com. I'm so honored to be a part of that network. And again, you learn so much. So find out more about the CTR Media Network Podcasters Training. Thank you very much. All right. Now, we've got 2 minutes, actually less than. I'm going to give you the floor. And time flies, doesn't it? I'm going to give you the floor, and I want you to just share some final thoughts with our audience, and just thank you. I'm just so honored you were here with me tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you have the floor.
Thank you, Vera. I believe the closing thoughts would be somewhere around the neighborhood of remembering that when we let other people's labels define us, when we let other people's thoughts, fears, doubts, and worry crowd our life and our aspirations and our dreams, we're tethering ourselves to them. So when you're following people, make sure you're following people whom you admire and would like to be more like, or see the benefits and the greatness in what they do. And that includes our friends, and it's challenging, I know. It includes even our family and sometimes our loved ones, to be spending a little less time in those areas and to be starting to step into those vibrations of love and support of people who see us, see our light, see our truth. Because I know people who are still struggling over labels that were put on them 20, 30, 40 years ago, that they're not smart enough or attractive enough or, able to do things. And to me, that's heartbreaking. So tell yourself it's 2023 and it's all about me, but in a good way. This is the time for me to share my gifts and talents with the world. They were given to me for a reason and a purpose. They weren't given to another person. They were giving to me. So allow the love and light to permeate to you and through you, and get out there and keep showing up. Be a front row person with your hand in the air and say, here I am. Thanks, Vera.
Amen. Thank you. And I also want to say happy heavenly birthday to my sister, Pearline Myrix, who passed away. Her birthday was yesterday, and I honored her on Facebook, but I do want to recognize her here tonight. And I would have played a song for her that she sang, but we don't have time. Maybe I can do it next week. And Peter says, GOOP, good opinion of other people. Peter Sager. Okay. Thank you, Peter. Looking forward to having you next week. All right. Listen, God bless you. And you will be back. You will be back.
Thank you, my dear.
And,
Yeah.
And if you could hold on while I close us out, I would appreciate it.
And
God bless you all and have a wonderful remaining week and weekend.
Aloha.
Vera time is shown. The Vera time is shown. The Vera time is shown. The Vera time is shown. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera time show. Let's talk